I think you're pretty well known at this point for the Bearded Brawls series of tournaments, and the series even has an avatar in the game now, which is really cool.
It's still crazy.
I know, right? How how did Bearded Brawls kind of start? Let's start with there. Like, where did you get the idea for Bearded Brawl?
Well, I mean, it started out way before Bearded Brawls. When I first started kind of messing around with Brawlhalla and realized that I was going to be streaming it. We started hosting like little tournaments out of my Discord. Of course, this came out of pocket. We were doing little $25 tournaments, just kind of running them through my Discord with a company called Tournament Kings. That does it's a whole Discord embed that handles all your bracket and stuff. It's actually pretty cool. Anyway, and we did that forever. And kind of just got a little more funding, a little more help along the way. You know, I came and went with a couple different orgs, and it was actually the guys over Imperium who came up with the whole Bearded Brawls name, so to speak. And once we parted ways, I was like, well, no, I'm keeping Bearded Brawls. That's kind of pog. Right. It just kind of went from there.
Yeah, you have what the self-proclaimed best beard in Brawlhalla at this point. I don't think anybody can really argue with you.
No, it's not even self-proclaimed. Like, it's just factual. You guys can find that on the Brawlhalla Wikipedia. It's over there.
Nice.
You can find it.
It is in official documentation. Best beard in Brawlhalla. That's a good segue into. Let's talk a little bit about, because like the theme of Brawlhalla Origins is kind of like the origin story, sort of the community members that kind of make up what Brawlhalla is. So how did you learn about Brawlhalla? Like, where did you come from? What was your first entry into the game?
Oh my god, that's actually a two-parter, because you know, hindsight's always 2020. You know what I mean? So back in 2016, a buddy of mine who was streaming at the time, and I hadn't started till 2019, but he was streaming at the time, and we'd played some other games together, and he was like, hey man, you should check out this game Brawlhalla. He's like, I'm gonna be playing it, you know, it's in beta, it's free, you know, blah blah blah. And I downloaded it. I played it for about 15 minutes, and I was like, nah, I'm good. And it just kind of went on about my life. And then in 2019, after I started streaming, I started out streaming like retro games. Okay. I played a lot of Final Fantasy 14, things like that. And one night somebody recommended you should play Brawlhalla. And, you know, we messed around with it. And, you know, I was going from 1 viewer, 2 viewers to 5 or 6. This was pretty cool. So I just kind of kept doing it because it was so accessible to people that wanted to come through. You know, you can have 8 players, it's free. You know, at that time, mobile wasn't a thing, but, you know, everything else you can hop on, you can play. And it made it really easy for people to come and interact with me. And just, I fell in love with it over time. It just kind of grew on me like a fungus that I couldn't get rid of. And, you know, fast forward almost 5 years later, and like, Brawlhalla is literally a huge part of my life in terms of everything, in terms of the money that I bring in to help support my family, in terms of my friends group, my community, everything. Like, it's all become centered around Brawlhalla, and I never in a million years thought a 2D Flash game would grab my attention the way it has. But here we are.
Yeah, Brawlhalla's ability to kind of just do that to people, I think, has been really remarkable. Kind of happened sort of similar that way for a lot of other people. So you said you played for your first time in 2016, didn't really vibe with it then, and then as a stream game, it just like latched onto you? Well, about when?
After a while, I mean, I started out as, I was bad, y'all. Like, y'all want to argue that I'm still bad, you know, but I started out real bad. Fighters were never my thing, man. Okay. Like, you know, when I was a kid, I played Mortal Kombat back in the day, you know, some Soul Calibur at the arcade, but like, I was an RPG kid, you know what I mean? I was playing the Final Fantasy games. I was, you know, playing the action RPGs. I was playing, you know, the Zeldas. Like, I never was into fighters, especially not platform fighters. And so When I first started out, I was not a fan. I still wasn't a fan. It just made it easy for people to come in, and I was getting bodied by golds, getting embarrassed, and I think I it was the friends I started to make, and then when I really had when I could really comprehend the skill level in this game, and I started getting introduced to the esports side of it,
Mhm.
is when I think my interest really started to peak. In terms of I started to get to know some of these players through my little stupid tournaments, and it just kind of evolved to where I woke up one day 6 months later and was like, oh, Brawlhalla is pretty cool, and it's just kind of been the status quo ever since. I don't know, it's weird.